Welcome to Disambiguation. I'm your host, Michael Fauscette. Each week, we interview experts in artificial intelligence, generative AI, and business automation to help business leaders understand how to use these tools for the biggest business impact. Our show today is called Building Startups at AI Speed. And we're going to talk about how we can accelerate the product development process and other things using AI. And I'm joined by Richard Abi-Chahla, founder and product manager at Purple Brain. So, Richard, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Michael.
I appreciate you joining. I'm excited about this, and I think this will be a really interesting one because certainly a lot of the audience are involved in startups in one way or another. So I feel like we can help maybe accelerate some startups, right? So why don't we start with you just doing a quick introduction and then tell us a little bit about Purple Brains and what you guys do.
Cool. All right. So my name is Richard Abi-Chahla. I'm based in Beirut, Lebanon. I'm a product manager and started my company Purple Brains in 2011. And I'm a full-time startup. So whenever we started Purple Brains, it had two tracks. The first one was following my passion, which is solving problems using technology. And we built 4 startups so far, and they had different levels of success. And they were in different industries and in different eras of technologies. And the second track for Purple Brains was helping companies and founders build their tools and digitize their processes. And this is what we've been doing since 2011.
Cool. Well, so let's start by just kind of setting the stage for everybody. Could you walk us through how you're using AI to accelerate product from initial market research all the way through the first MVP, and then what kind of tools are you using? How do you leverage them at each stage, and how did they change your approach compared to what we've all done in a traditional startup method?
Right. So let's say how it used to be traditionally, like 2-3 years back, and how it evolved and how it's speeded up. In building products and as a product manager, I heavily rely on the lean approach. So there are those 5 stages of empathy, validation, then ideation, then prototyping, then building. We used to put a lot of time on the empathy phase, where we would map out our assumptions, look at the different competitors, search practically abuse Google, searching for everything. We would be multiple people gathering information. I would say everything from a founder's point of view, not from a product manager serving other entities, because I guess this is what people will relate a lot to. So we would be the whole team, developers and non-developers, browsing the internet, looking at the different solutions that are available, trying to read blogs on Reddit about people that are writing about the topic that we're trying to solve, trying to gather as many information as we can. This used to take 1, 2, 3 weeks, depending on the market that we're researching, the amount of data that's available to that market, and so forth. And then we would map out in different frameworks, like the lean canvas and the persona generation and all of that, the different assumptions that we have gathered and our synthesis from this research. Then we would go into the UX research phase and the validation phase, where we take those assumptions and we try to validate them using surveys, interviews, A/B testing, Wizard of Oz techniques, and so forth. And this used to be, 6 weeks probably, if not more, depending on how fast we can find the people. And then it would take us a lot of time to analyze all those results, probably 1 week or so, to analyze all the outcomes of the interviews. And then we would ideate what would the solution be. We would say that our assumptions were valid, and this is the solution that we think needs to be built to resolve this problem. And after that, we would start prototyping. So we need to have we would sketch some things on paper. We would hire a UX designer. He or she would take like a month to map out all the screens, um, then build the icons, the colors, all of that, the different screens. And then whenever we prioritize the different features we want to build, we would hire another developer, one or two developers, to program the MVP and also there 1, 2, 3 months to build the MVP, even if you have the minimum features that you
Mm,
have. And if you sum up the whole thing, this is 4 to 6 months.
mm,
And it's a big investment because you need to hire a lot of people.
yeah.
Moving fast forward to now, whenever you have an idea, you can farm the information really fast using the deep research techniques in Perplexity and Gemini, Claude, uh, ChatGPT. And you would get like 20, 30, 40 pages report where you have all the links and all the competitors analysis. You just need to be good in prompting. And so AI is doing 80% of your market research. Then you do the 20%, which is your sense check if all the hits are right, if it understood the prompt right. You read the reports, you synthesize them, you check all the different links that it gave you, you make sure it's valid links, nothing is outdated information. And then you would have ready your list of assumptions. You put them into
Mhm.
the frameworks and then now starts validating. We used to take 6 weeks to validate because validation was our safety net because it costed so much to build a solution. So you don't want to spend this money in vain, paying the UX designer and the
Mm,
developers a couple of $1,000, 10, 15, 20, $30,000. So we used to rely heavily on the UX research to understand exactly what we need to do. But now we don't rely on that as much. We just do a quick UX research. Instead of interviewing 30 people and doing a survey for 500 surveys of participants, we just do a couple of interviews, we do some A/B testing, and this is a rule of thumb. Like it is different between the different
mm,
industries, it is different between the different problems, how complex they are. But generally speaking, the UX research now is not very crucial because what's better, asking people about the problem or giving them a very partial solution for it and
right.
telling them, is this working? And
Yeah.
then prototyping now takes hours, not weeks.
Mm,
There's a lot of prototyping tools. I personally like Stitch. There's Figma AI that's pretty good, but I haven't dived deep into it. And there's a lot of development tools where you take the prototype, you would have a nice prompt for a requirements document, put it into lovable, Replit, Bold, whatever, and it just designs the MVP for you. You just have, probably you would need, because it's good in designing like 50, 60% of the solution, but still
mm,
not production ready. You would hire a developer for $1,000 or $2,000 and they just fix the whole thing up and push it to the stores or to the web. And you have an MVP in a
yeah.
matter of 2 weeks, probably 2, 3 weeks.
Mm. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, if you think about it, as a minimum, you were talking 6 months to get to this point, and in fact, it sounds like along this much more compressed path, you actually are getting much better direct feedback than you would have gotten as you went through that much longer process because you have real things to show and get feedback on earlier in the process than you would have normally. So that's sort of an amazing shift in when we think of this idea of voice of the customer, voice of the prospect, whatever, you're actually in that direct conversation in a couple weeks versus months.
Yeah, exactly. And the founder would know uh, right away if this is something worth putting more time because we're taking into account the amount of money the founder is investing. We're not taking into account the amount of time he is personally investing and what's the cost of that time. So now we're saving a lot on that time. And no matter how good you are in Googling and researching and looking up everything, whenever you hook up multiple AI agents with the deep research functionality, they would find things at the bottom of the internet, dark rooms that usually you wouldn't find them yourself.
Yeah, well, and these days it takes half your session searching to get to the unsponsored part of your answer, honestly. So that takes care of a little bit of frustration. When we were talking before, we talked a little bit about kind of your evolution through different tools, and I suspect this is not unusual. I mean, I have very similar path. We all sort of started when ChatGPT came out because it was exciting and the newest one and cool and all. But over time, I think we've all evolved into a much broader set of tools and how we use them. So I'm just curious how for you, and one of the things I know we talked about is some of the MCP, some of the new integrated tools, like for example, Claude and Cursor, or, I know you're using Gemini a lot too. So why did you look at these different tools and how did you decide which ones to prioritize and sort of become your AI platform per se for different tasks?
Yeah. So yeah, whenever ChatGPT started, even the reliance on it was like 90% less of what it is
Yeah.
now. But I still think that ChatGPT is like the go-to platform if you want to have one subscription for an AI platform, like
Mm,
ChatGPT could be that. And it's
mm,
evolving very fast now with the new agent mode. I discovered just this morning that you could record using ChatGPT, and it would record the meeting, or it would record your
mm,
screen, and it would give you feedback on what happened on the screen. The agent mode was 2 weeks back, I guess. So I
mm,
still think that ChatGPT is something that most of the people need to be subscribed to because it's catching up really fast to any innovation that's
mm,
coming up outside. Now, this the stack that I'm using now for different tools, for different purposes, is always changing because I'm always testing new tools, and
right.
sometimes they are offering better results. What I'm using now, I still have my ChatGPT for general prompting
Mhm,
and brainstorming. I love Claude a lot for writing and coding.
mhm,
The reason is that like it has very nice output in terms of writing. It understands my tone.
mhm.
The
Yep.
articles are right, and the posts I put on LinkedIn are all code generated. What's happening is that I use the Anthropics like playground to generate the prompts,
Yeah.
and I would use that to evaluate the outcomes of the prompts, and then using like reverse engineering the outcome that I want to the prompt that I want.
Mm,
So every time the models change, I use that to update my prompts.
mm,
I like Gamma.app, I guess, a lot because I generate stunning presentations using it. Um,
yeah.
I love Perplexity for research, the
Mhm,
paid version, because I could give it a lot of context. But some people use it as a browser. I still didn't get to that point yet.
mhm,
I don't understand how it is used as a browser yet.
mm,
I use a lot of development, low-code development tools like Lovable, Cursor, Replit. I guess those are called no-code as well, because you could
mm,
generate a quick prototype or a quick piece of software using that, but it's not production ready. And just recently, I started using Cursor because there was a couple of bugs in the latest startup we're working on, and I wanted to resolve them.
right.
I had a learning curve. I'm still not very savvy using it because the last time I developed was 2008, probably.
Yeah.
So, but it's doing a pretty good job between Cursor with Claude Office 4 and ChatGPT for general questions. I'm able to get some fairly good results. It's
Mm,
taking a bit more time than what would a developer
sure.
need to generate something, but it's fairly good. It's a good start.
Yeah. I mean, just being able to validate and troubleshoot if you have issues. more quickly than having to go to somebody, get them to take a break from whatever they're working on to get into this. That seems like that makes a lot of sense. I similar journey, I think, for me, except I am actually trying Perplexity's new browser. It's not my default, but I have been playing with it. It's really interesting.
Mhm.
And I use it a lot for research. So that is Perplexity. I definitely like Claude. I agree with you. Using it for writing is by far its best, and in general research, and ChatGPT, of course. I don't. I mean, I have all four, and I have other tools too. But I kind of agree that right now you have to shift, because each time a new model comes out, it sort of changes your experience with it, and how what it's good at, what it's not good at, and each one is uh,
Yeah.
is specific, right? So it's
I
interesting. So
tried Manus for a certain period of time.
mm,
It does some things really good, some things not so good. I guess soon the operator in ChatGPT would be able to overcome Manus.
mm.
Let's see. And with GPT-5, like I'm looking forward to what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that one too. I agree. I think that's going to be an interesting one to experiment with. Now, one of the things you mentioned before, as you were talking through, you mentioned it again, and I've just been recently looking at them. I went to their attended a virtual user conference a few weeks ago, and that's Figma, and I know there's a lot of buzz around Figma right now. Now, I've used Canva for years, but
Mhm.
Figma I haven't really played with that much. So how do you see Figma integrating into your workflow, and in general using AI to generate designs, UX, UI, or what else do you think that Figma could help with, in as you move forward with
Yeah, so I've been using Figma for a long time, since 2018, because
it?
like this is what the developers, since even 16, this is what the developers and the designers are using.
Right.
I moved a little bit to Adobe XD, but I guess then Figma was pretty like
Mm.
much more functionalities, much better user experience. And I've been using it either to see the designs that they produce or to just sketch up things really fast,
Mm.
uh, whenever it's very, very early stage and we still don't know what to. But
Mm.
just recently, I tested a little bit the Figma AI tool. I still think it's in the early stages, but since it is hooked to an existing design platform, the potential of it is really big. So my understanding is that just like you have Lovable or V0 by Vercel that is made for non-techies, just
Mm.
to prompt and to be able to build something by prompting. And then you have Cursor and Windsurf and Claude Code who are designed to power up tech people, like to speed up the work of developers.
Mm.
My understanding is that the likes of Stitch, for example, and there's another platform, I forgot its name. They build screens just purely by prompting.
Right.
Figma AI is made to power up. Oh, I have some parts for it. Figma
That was nice.
AI, Figma AI is made for designers who are working on like speeding up their work instead of
Mm.
drawing every single components, mapping that out, so it would just jumpstart them, and then they would be able to do the different tweaks that they need in order to refine the design.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting tool, and I haven't used it a lot, but I have been experimenting with it a bit, and just sitting through their user conference and looking at some of the innovations that they brought out over the last year. It does seem like a very powerful tool if you're a UX UI designer,
Yeah.
um, and
The
and
interesting
it is
thing,
interesting.
the interesting thing is that it's powered by they have an MCP and they could
Mm.
link it. Cursor could link to Figma MCP, so you
Yeah.
don't have to do the manual work of grabbing all the screens, putting them
Right.
on Cursor, for example, and just you can just link it there and then you prompt Cursor to go get a specific screen and to build it for you with the
Yeah.
requirements behind.
Mm. Yeah. That I mean, that's certainly an accelerator. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk a little bit about product market fit because I mean, from a product manager perspective and a startup perspective in general, right? That's the holy grail. You want to get to product market fit as quickly as you can. And frankly, I've been involved in a bunch of startups and it's months or even years to get to that point usually. I mean, it takes a lot of work and a lot of iteration and a lot of understanding about how your product's being used and that sort of thing to get there. But I know AI compresses this timeline at least somewhat. So how are what AI driven insights can help you move to get product market fit faster, find
Mhm.
that ICP, that sort of thing?
All right. So first of all, product market fit is really hard to get, as you said, and it's time. Otherwise, everyone would be able
Yeah,
to, we wouldn't see but successful startups. But
right.
the thing that people don't get, and a lot of founders don't get, is that it's not a one-time thing. Product market fit, whenever you reach it, you need to maintain it. And whenever you start expanding your set of features and whenever you
Mhm.
expand to new customers, you just need to keep maintaining it because you could use it as easily as just rolling out, changing the placement of a button or changing your pricing or just changing some colors. You could lose your product market fit sometimes. So
Mm.
now with AI, so product market fit is mainly about experimentation. Like the UX research used to be a big part of product market fit to be able to reduce the amount of pivoting you're going to do and to understand the persona, the problem, the root cause of the problem, and what is their anticipation for a solution. Like there's a nice saying from Henry Ford. Like whenever he asked what do the customer wants, they said they wanted faster horses. So he understood that the root cause of the faster horses was that they wanted faster transportation. That is not the
Mm.
train. That is not any other transportation. So he introduced the car. So understand in the UX research, you are able to get a fairly good view, what is the problem, how to solve it, and so forth. And then rarely you nail it from the first prototype that you build.
Mm.
So you would update the prototype multiple times. Then even the actual software, you would update it a couple of times and keep on tweaking with it until you reach product market fit. And
Mm.
all of that is based on the feedback you're getting and the continuous testing. Now, this used to cost a lot of money, as I said before. Like
Yeah.
every time you wanted to change a design, you need a designer to work a couple of days on it, if not more. Every time you want to develop something, it is a couple of sprints to develop it. So even with an MVP that has 5, 6 features, changing the journey, like they did not like the onboarding journey, it's too difficult. They are dropping in the middle of the onboarding journey. Changing that is one more between design and development. And this is a simple onboarding journey, like
Mm.
signing up, putting in your information, and using the app or the tool for the first couple of times. So imagine now with AI, where UX research is faster, analyzing it is like the semantic analysis of the UX research or of interviews used to take days, if not more. And sometimes you wouldn't get to the really to the bottom of it.
Right.
Now you can do it like in just putting all the transcripts, using a good prompt, and getting a good outcome. And you
Mm.
could do that in different platforms. Sometimes, whenever it's that critical, I do it using ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude, and then I would consolidate all the outcomes to make sure that we didn't miss anything.
Sure.
Prototyping is faster, building is faster, pivoting is faster. Now, the other thing to be able to get and maintain product market fit is the amount of continuous analysis of the different data that
Right.
you're getting that AI is able to analyze really fast and crunch numbers and data from different sources. So you are able to generate different onboarding processes for different personas of your
Mm.
customers. Like if your app is serving technical, non-technical people, like let's say developers, founders, and designers,
Mm.
using the same app, you could customize a journey onboarding journey for each one of those using AI because it is able to understand the background of that person and what they want to see. AI is able to analyze your support tickets much
Mm.
faster and derive from them instantly user stories for you to be able to give them to developers to build them.
Mm.
Like analytics on your app, AI is able to find gaps and to provide you recommendations that previously you needed to sit down, get this analysis for like analytics for 1 month, go do different dashboards, read through them to be able to get some
Mm.
insights. The human is still doing all the decisions, but
Right.
we are doing much better informed decisions from different sources to the point that we are able to make much better decisions.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's been a problem for a while, right? That it's not that you can't get feedback; it's that you get so much feedback you can't actually get through it to make sure you understand what that feedback's trying to tell you, and
Yeah.
get a hypothesis, and then actually be able to validate that in some way. So it sounds like your your ability to process and work through that feedback is much accelerated, and you also feel like you're getting better insights out of that feedback that you have as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Correct. Correct.
Well, so we're going to do something a little different today, and it's not once in a while we'll do a demo or something, but today I wanted to, because we're talking about a lot of different tools, a lot of different process. Thought it'd be really interesting, Richard, if you would show us kind of the end-to-end workflow you use for validating a new business idea. So, start with problem and getting through to kind of the early MVP stage. So maybe we'll put this up and then you can talk us through
Yeah.
what we're seeing here.
Like when we were speaking before the podcast before we started recording, I felt that it is not really beneficial for people to show them how product management works now with a lot of prompts. But probably if I just show how with one prompt each, I'm able to empower a normal founder, a normal business person
Mm.
to move from a vague idea that they had over coffee with their friends to actually having something that would tell them, is it worth to put more time on this project, yes or no? And this is actually a process that I use myself whenever I get an idea or whenever someone comes to me for this 1 hour discovery call that they book on my website. And they ask me, is this worth following up on? And this is actually the process that I do. So because each step takes 10, 15, 20 minutes of processing with the AI agents, I mapped out all the tabs and I put in the prompts and now the results are there. And I just used free tools. All of those, I created accounts on new emails that are completely free. I did not pay for anything. So
Mm.
anyone without spending a dollar could achieve the same outcome that I. And
Mm.
it's all simple prompts. There's nothing technical about them. There's nothing complex. All right.
Mhm.
So I thought to myself, I'm having coffee. I have a dog. I got an idea. I'm based in NYC. Why not have a tool that would allow me to find a nice dog park and understand what are the different things, amenities, events, access, support that I have in that dog.
Mm.
So I just wrote to Gemini that I want to conduct a comprehensive market research analysis for a new startup idea. I explained to it what's the startup idea, what's the goal, is the merit. I want to understand the merit of this idea. The only technical thing that I've used is that I use desirability, viability, feasibility, because for me, these are the main three pillars of any startup to understand if it's worth following up on or not. And then I asked it to estimate the market and to determine if technologically we are able to work on it and if the technology is there and what's
Mm.
the competition, what other people are solving this and how they are solving this. And I clicked the deep research functionality and I let it brew on its own. Now, whenever it was done, it gave me this outcome, but for better visibility, I exported it to a Google Doc. So it
Yeah.
just gave me a full market research. I guess it's 20 something pages. It's 27 pages of
Mm,
data. There's a lot of it is not accurate, but at least you get the gist of,
right.
is it something worth following up? Like, is there a problem there? Yes, there's a problem there because people are facing challenges to seeking appropriate environment to their dogs, to understand what are the different things that are being exposed to, what are people talking about. So it's all challenges. Then there is a demand for comprehensive part information and support, and it explains it
Mhm,
here. And then it gives me a summary of all the pain points and the current solution that they have and
mm,
how much of supporting data there is. And it looks like there's a need for private and controlled play space for their dogs. And then you would move to viability if it's viable as a business because we're building a business after we want to make money.
mm,
What are the different ways to make business out of it? Then it analyzes the revenue. All of that on their own. You saw the prompt. The prompt was so simple. We
yeah.
can provide it to the audience later on. And then it
Mhm,
gives me the different revenue models. Like we can do event ticketing, we can do e-commerce integration, in-app
mm,
advertising, subscription tiers for more features, and then moving forward 27 pages. It shows the different market. It shows also it shows also the skill that you
mm,
need from a team. Now with AI tools, you don't need that many people. But
yeah.
if you're doing conventional development, that's what you need. It estimated the
Mm,
market size, like there's approximately 600,000 dogs residing in the NYC area. So this is a nice, achievable market if you want.
mm,
Then it analyzes the competition. Where's the competition? Somewhere around here, it shows the competition. It tells
mm,
you what are the different platforms that are there, their strengths and weaknesses, and it gives you an overall assessment that this is worth following up on. So let's say now I'm convinced I want to give this more time. I went there and I said, based on the research you just completed, prepare a prompt for Stitch UX UI Designer. This is the platform I like using for it to develop a user-friendly minimalist app that have those features. And it gave me a prompt. All of this is the prompt it gave me. I went to Stitch and I added this prompt and I got the homepage design.
mm, yep.
I got the individual park page design. Then I asked it to design the search
Mm,
results page and it designed the results page.
nice.
I saved those as images. You could copy and paste them into Figma and you can get a professional designer design or like uplift the
Mhm,
design for you. But I'm
right.
saying here, I don't want to pay a cent. I'm still betting if this idea is worth building.
Yeah.
Then
Mm,
I opened free accounts of three of the most used uh, like AI developers tools, which is Replit, Lovable, Bold. There's a lot more. Base
sure.
44, Data Button, V0, but I'm just taking it from the point of view of non-technical people. So I just went to Gemini and I said, I want you to, where's the prompt? Where's the prompt? So based on the above details, prepare a prompt for an AI coding app that will develop the above features, taking into consideration the above design, and I want it as a web app. I decided it's a web
Mm,
app.
sure.
Then it gave me all this prompt. I dropped it here. I added the images into those three, and then I got a prototype, a
Hmm,
functional prototype. Like
yeah.
it is working. It clicks. It has no data. They all have integrations. You could go and connect. Supabase is like the Firebase more user-friendly
Mhm,
competitor. You can just hook it to Supabase. You can push it to GitHub and ask a developer to jump in and continue it for you. So all of those has integrations. Replit, I guess, has its own back end. So you could just deploy it and test everything out and add the data. You could just say, uh, dog park, and let's say what gives us. So it is a functional piece of software that you have. It has some
Mm.
dummy data. You are able to narrow down the distance and choose, like it has water fountain, it has a fenced area. So you could now, as a founder, take this and go to a dog owner and ask him,
Mm.
are you facing those problems that I pinpointed in my research? Do you
Mm.
want do you want a fenced area where is the stable that has all the pain points? Like, do you need a private? Do you look for a private and fenced area for like as a play for your dog? Is it difficult for you to find? Do you
Mm.
want to have amenities? What kind of amenities? Is
Right.
this tool something nice? Is this is something you would use? You would pay for? And you would get feedback for something visual instead of doing a UX research.
Yeah.
And all of this is before spending any dollar on any tool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will encourage the listeners who maybe aren't watching it on YouTube to take a look at the YouTube video because it certainly will give you a better context for how that process worked, and particularly the idea that within such a short period of time you actually have something to show versus a story to tell, which is it is what we had, so it is okay, but now you can do a lot more and be visual, which is much more effective, with a in front of a potential customer prospect. So that's
Yeah,
great. Thank you.
all of this took like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's I mean, that's incredible. And obviously something that could accelerate and get you through iterations of ideas to get to something that is in fact effective very quickly. So that's yeah, that's
Mhm.
amazing. Thank you. Well, so the other thing I wanted to think about a little bit is just from an entrepreneur's perspective. Um, I've heard this from people as I've talked to them. Does this using an AI end-to-end workflow for validating ideas? It sounds great, but an AI powered product manager. Do you are you commoditized a bit in your competitive advantage, or how do you think about building, using this to build defensible moats when everybody has access to the same tools? So you could theoretically get to the same ish conclusion, I suppose, if you came up with similar prompts, right?
Well, I think that I totally don't think that. And in order to give you more confidence that I don't think that, I'm actually building myself an AI product manager agent where
Mm.
people can, within a month or so, get to my website, use it a couple of times for free, and then if they want to pay a subscription, they would be able to prompt it even more.
Mm.
And if I would think that those would take my job, I wouldn't build one more tool that would probably take my job.
That's fair.
So I think that there's a lot in product management than just like gathering data.
Yeah.
And like even with the AI tools, I could prompt it differently. I have a certain experience working with more than 50 different products in different industries that would
Mm.
allow me to avoid a lot of the mistakes normal people would do to get a lot better outcomes than a normal person using AI would do. Of
Right.
course, a product manager not using AI is going to be left behind. But like just like any industry, in my opinion, like a mechanic who doesn't use AI is going to be left behind. A surgeon who doesn't use AI is going to be left behind. And it's the
Yeah.
same. Like a developer now who doesn't use AI is being
Mm.
overrun by developers half as experienced using AI.
Yeah.
So I am an AI product manager. I'm on top of the wave. I'm leveraging every piece of AI, and I think I'm still not doing enough. By the way, I could do a lot more, but
Sure.
there's a certain amount of time that you can invest there. Um,
Mm.
But I'm trying to stay up to date with everything and like empower my process with them. Like before that, we used to handle one or two projects
Mm.
at a time because we are individual contributor. We are hands-on with everything we do. Now I'm able to handle 5, 6 medium-sized projects, not early stage, like running products, and I'm comfortable doing that because everything is faster. I get all the data prompted to my Slack
Mm.
channels, so on and so forth. I'm able to make decisions much faster. It doesn't require a lot of research from my part, but it's always me making the decisions, not the AI.
Right.
It's always me analyzing and asking for a better version, assessing the results that AI is giving me and trying. Like I have a lot of customers now that come to me saying, I've done my market research. I've done my prototyping. I want you to hire a developer for me to build that. And they would be prompting like a one sentence prompt, just like I did now. Like what
Yeah.
I've done now is good for you to get a sense check if you want to hire and invest more time in this process. But
Mm.
even using AI and an AI developer or an AI designer, you would have to spend, instead of spending 6 weeks designing the thing, spend 3 days with an AI and
Mm.
have what expertise, what to look at, what to change, how you want things to happen, because AI can do it for you, but they cannot make the decisions.
Mm. Yeah, that I mean, it is
At
obviously
least
an
not yet.
opportunity, right?
At least
Yeah,
not
well,
yet.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it does change quickly, but it is obviously an advantage in a lot of ways, and I can see that. And I think, I would say I'm an AI enabled market researcher. I certainly use the tools all the time, every day. Um, well, so Richard, that's all the time we have today. But I had two things. One, I wanted to say that this month is the 3-year anniversary of the show, and this is actually the 100th episode. So I'm excited
Mm,
about that. And then,
nice.
100 episodes. Hopefully, we've learned a little bit. So I appreciate you being the guest on the 100th
Oh, look.
episode. Oh, and look
Well,
at that. We
yeah,
get
most
little
helpful.
fireworks too. I like it. I like it. That's amazing. And then the second thing is right at the end of every show, I like to ask if you could recommend someone, a thought leader, an author, podcaster, somebody, anybody that you think in this world that could be an advantage for the audience to check out and learn from.
Mhm. Since you're a podcast focused on AI, I have a coworker and a partner who's building a company called Starting Up AI, and they
Mm.
are specialized in building agents. So they will have soon a CTO agent. They are the ones who are building the product manager agent with us,
Mm.
and they would have kind of a visionary agent and
Yeah.
like a social media agent and so forth. So I think Nicholas, his name is Nicholas Hawat. So I think he would be a good guest on your podcast.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that and great recommendation. So, Richard, I really appreciate you joining today for the 100th episode and creating some fireworks too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah. And that's the show for this week. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the show. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a review to help others find us. For more research on AI and other software, check out arionresearch.com. If you're an expert in AI, generative AI, or business automation, either as a provider or an end user, email your information to disambiguation@arionresearch.com. Don't forget to join us next week. Disambiguation is an Arian Research production. I'm Michael Fauscette, and this is the Disambiguation Podcast.